Hello everyone, this is Days, and welcome to episode 2 of Brainwashing in Video Games. This time we'll be taking a look at the Uncharted series. Before we start, we need to address one issue that has been plaguing all forms of disseminated media, starting from storytelling, extending to pop culture, and further out into every aspect of modern society. Suspension of disbelief. As coined by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, the term describes a willingness to sacrifice realism and logic for the sake of enjoyment. However, that's not really the full story, and it's not the extent to which people use it in their daily lives. When you're talking about sacrificing logic and realism, you need to ask yourself, which part of reality are we willing to ignore in order to enjoy whatever media we're exposed to? It might seem like a small qualm at first, but it's actually at the basis of a lot of problems facing pop culture, and one of the essential things that make anyone susceptible to brainwashing and propaganda. When we look at Superman, or Dragon Ball Z, or even Batman, John Wick, or even still How I Met Your Mother, or The Fault in Our Stars, we are suspending the same amount of disbelief. Sure, something like Friends, the sitcom, is more realistic than something like Star Wars. But that's irrelevant. The biggest issue that critics produce by focusing on a certain plot's realism or stylization, or whether some elements of the story make sense in context of the development of the characters, whenever they do that, even though they may seem to be analyzing the story from an outside perspective looking in, they are still operating inside the suspension of disbelief, and are therefore incapable of analyzing the finer points of craftsmanship in any real, helpful way. And more on that, this is done on purpose. All critics worth their salt will know the point I'm trying to make here immediately. But the problem with it is, it removes the whole mystique that the entire business is built around, and therefore it's never mentioned. That's exactly what we're about to do here. We're here to demystify the magic. So as we said before, it doesn't matter if Superman would kill or not, or if Batman never uses guns because it's part of his character, or even if Rey besting a trained Sith Lord makes sense in context of her not training at all. That's not what really matters here. All of this can be retroactively explained by the fans or the writers, or even if it's too much of a hassle, can be retconned altogether. Every time you treat the characters like people that have personalities, and like they should make sense in the realm of their own respective established canonical universe, you are suspending from your disbelief the most important reality. The only reason anything happens in a story, the only reason any character says anything at all, the only reason anything is placed in a timeline of the story or in the background on the screen is simply because that's what the writers want. Rey beats Kylo because that's what J.J. Abrams, Michael Arndt, and Lawrence Kasdan want. The only reason Superman killed Zod in Man of Steel is because Christopher Nolan and David S. Goyer want him to. The only reason, I repeat, the only reason you are forced to make horrible decisions in Life is Strange is because that is what Christian Devine and Jean-Luc Cano want you to do. It's not because life is strange, or people are horrible, or because fate is cruel, or because the world doesn't care. It's just because that's what the writers of the game want you to experience. They want you to feel helpless. They want you to look at humanity as a fallen race of immoral degenerates. They want you to feel that no matter what you do, all your efforts will end up in vain. That you can't have a happy ending no matter what you do. For some reason, that serves their vision, for you to have that worldview, through actions that you are forced to perform inside of a virtual reality that they could have constructed in any other way. Actions that, given the choice, you would have ignored for the sake of a happy ending that's fulfilling and morally uplifting. Like Undertale, for example. Remember that. Having said that, enter Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann has been in Naughty Dog at least since 2004, where he worked on Dicky Penguin in TKO for the Third Reich. Fast forward to 2007, where he got involved in the Uncharted series as a game designer and co-writer, along with the main writer of the beloved Uncharted series, Amy Hennig. But that's not the problem here. We're here to talk about a certain
secret agenda
that is very visible in the case of the Uncharted series, as we can see the shift in focus as his involvement in the project became more totalitarian. This is Nathan Drake. He's been fighting across the globe. He's killed more people than cholesterol, and it's all thanks to his improvisational nature, his natural fighting style, his deceptive physical strength, and of course, his witty comebacks. And that includes beating impossible odds, like for example, a lot of people at once, trained killers, and physically dominant opponents. In hordes! As a player, you are used to using objects to hit a stronger opponent, roll out of danger, block, parry, dodge, and counterattack your way out of any situation no matter how sticky it gets. And throughout 3 games, we've become quite experienced at this. At this point, it would require quite a supernatural creature to beat Nathan Drake. Oh wait, never mind, Nathan's already done that. So since Drake has killed zombies in Uncharted 1, immortal warriors in Uncharted 2, demonic wisps in Uncharted 3, and he has beaten all sorts of seasoned mercenaries, as well as mercenary leaders with supernatural boosts like Lazarevich, for example. I wonder what they were thinking in the studio while coming up with this. What extra feature could we add to an enemy to make them absolutely unbeatable to Nathan Drake? Maybe a new fighting style? Some exotic weapon? Maybe some magical powers?
Just remember.
Let's see.
I didn't want to do this.
Let's see what you've got. Come on, Nathan Drake.
Oh, I see my reputation precedes me.
Don't telegraph so much.
I'm just trying to make it fair.
Nice try. Come here.
Oh, you just can't do anything. Can't dodge, can't block, can't counterpunch, can't pick up objects, can't really do anything. You can just press square and get hit, or press nothing and still get hit. In fact, you can't do any of those things in the entire game. The entire combat mechanic is oddly replaced by these awkward animation-based quick-time events. Almost as if they did it just so that the Nadine encounter makes sense. Now, if they wanted to make an unbeatable boss battle, those things are very common in video games. But in those cases, they make the boss themselves unbeatable, while you maintain all of the game mechanics. You throw everything at them and nothing works. It makes you feel like you actually tried to beat an unbeatable foe. Examples would be the Mega Man game back in the days, or a more recent example, from my own experience personally, is the Duke Seath encounter in Dark Souls 1, where you pretty much enter the boss battle and you don't really know that you're going to die, and that is the only option you have, by the way. You just have to die. But the game doesn't tell you that, and the game lets you at least try to hit Seath, and you just realize that, in the end, after trying everything you can, you realize, well, there's no way to survive this, and you die. Instead, Uncharted 4 just ties your hands behind your back and makes you watch yourself get beaten up, almost as if to make you feel humiliated. Turns out, Nadine's true power is Neil Druckmann. However, if you take your suspension of disbelief out, this says something about the writers themselves. They wanted to make an unbeatable boss fight, and the only way they could think of giving the woman an advantage was to tie the man's hands down. They could have given her unlimited health. They could have shown her unbreakable tenacity in a whirlwind brawl against 2 seasoned fighters fair and square and beat them to a pulp. They could have even had a ferocious fight that ends with her pulling something unexpected in the end that surprises even Nathan Drake, showing her to be more clever. But no, The writers of this game believe that the only way a woman can beat a man is if he's already incapacitated. And that's why it feels so fake and wrong and contrived.
Secret agenda.
Let us take an example of a good fight scene between a man and a woman, shall we?
Thank you.
Mallory, you're in way over your head. Think this through. You've been out of control since you've arrived. You need to cut Kenneth.
Hits being exchanged back and forth, check. Dealing with physical disadvantage, check. Tenacity shown, check. Pulling special move finisher at the end, check. If you ask me, that is a good-ass fight scene. The only reason why I would start with the Uncharted series when talking about Neil Druckmann is because, in this case, it's a visible change with the narrative as Druckmann's involvement increased. Another thing that changed with Druckmann was the focus and tone of the narrative. In Uncharted 1 through 3, the story always eventually opens up to a supernatural, Indiana Jones-like revelation where the characters have to reluctantly accept that there's magic in the world, or that there's truth to mythology. Instead, in Uncharted 4, the reason why the utopian vision of a pirate city came crashing down was just because humans are horrible, degenerate, and a greedy, backstabbing race. Note that this isn't to say that humans have never backstabbed each other, but consider again, without suspension of disbelief, why Neil Druckmann wanted to put this into the story and why it's such a forced shift in tone. This also extends to Uncharted, The Lost Legacy. What Druckmann wanted in the Uncharted series was no more magic, no more supernatural, no more jaw-dropping reveal, just humans being what we've been told we've always been, a fallen race of degenerates with no hope of ever having a real utopia. Also that the world is only material and it's stupid to think of magic and mythology. Only think of ideologies, world politics, sexual orientation, power plays in the battle of the sexes, moral relativity, discouragement of family ties, and sitcom-like issues in marriage. That's all Neil Druckmann wants you to experience, and the writers did that on purpose. They changed the story to fit this new narrative. This
secret agenda.
And to people who might say that this was done for the sake of realism, there's an important point to stress. Uncharted was already a popular series. It didn't need a rehaul. This new direction broke the overall tone of the story and the genre. And again, they didn't have to. Furthermore, their idea of reality, the cross-section of humanity that they wanted to represent was 3 points. Number 1, breaking down the family. A protagonist lying to his wife, while Sam, the other protagonist, is also lying to his brother, thus painting family life as a whole in a negative light. In a cast of vagabonds that stick together, trust each other, and when the time is right, make the best moral decisions at the risk of their own lives. Neil's contribution to the story, who is Sam, stands as a pillar of degeneracy and moral gray areas. And why in the world does Nathan lie to his wife about wanting to rescue his brother? Nathan and Elena fought and killed and risked their lives for each other. These are characters that trust each other in every single way. They have shared this lifestyle for years together, and they trust each other to the point of putting their own lives in the hands of the other in a life and death situation. This isn't some bored upper middle class couple settling down, and yet Nathan is all alone hiding from his wife in the attic playing shoot 'em up as if Elena just wouldn't get it and join him. Like she hasn't literally done this with him throughout 3 games. It doesn't add up. Number 2, the unrealistic female. Being dominant in a way that isn't coherent with the rest of the story, just so that she looks like she's one-upping a man. Number 3, guys are idiots. For some reason, all the guys are aloof, and for all intents and purposes, unreliable idiots with low moral fiber.
You have my undivided attention.
And guess what? It turns out Elena was supposed to be with the gang in the original draft made by Amy Hennig. There was even a game mechanic proposed involving a dance sequence in the auction house section of the game. Their family was supposed to be a strong unit based on trust and honesty. Also, Sam was supposed to be the bad guy until you, as the player, realize that he's actually Nathan's brother, and then Sam proceeds to join Nathan and redeems himself by helping him defeat Rafe. The fact that they were family was supposed to bring them together. In Druckmann's version, though, the fact that they were family was part of the drama. It's also important to note that the main director and the main writer, as well as other people involved in the Uncharted series, were let go during the development period of Uncharted 4. They didn't say anything bad about the issue, but that's what a non-disclosure agreement is for anyways. It also turns out that the melee was a big part of the game. 1/3 of your time playing Uncharted 4 was going to be unarmed, which corroborates what I said earlier about the melee feature being downgraded. They're trying to create gray areas out of a black and white subject. Besides, he shouldn't need to lie to Elena in the first place. She would get it. She was going with them in the original script. They changed that on purpose to introduce distrust in the family as a behavioral pattern, repeated in front of you so that you normalize it, replicate it in your life, and then justify it. So instead of Elena being a strong woman that's full of integrity and bravery in her professional and private life, which she's shown on multiple occasions in previous games, we get a weird suburban wife who just doesn't get it. For some reason, of course.
Secret agenda.
So she's fine with him doing an illegal job in Malaysia, but saving his brother, that's too much. There's even this sad bit where she tells him that she wants to join him in Malaysia because he's going to be away for too long. And Nathan just shuts her down and keeps lying.
Hey! Hey, Nate?
Hi, honey.
Oh, hi, I've been trying to get a hold of you. Are you okay?
Yeah, of course. What do you mean?
Well, you know, the news. There's been all that flooding. Maybe going to Malaysia during the monsoon season wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah, right. Right, yeah, it grounded us for sure. You know, had some equipment failure, but, you know, no one's hurt or anything.
Well, as long as you guys are safe. So, are you going to start work tomorrow?
Postponed, actually. Looks like we're gonna need maybe another 10 days or so.
Ugh, 10 days? Hey, well, why don't I just, go ahead and buy a ticket then?
Oh, you know, you don't have to do that. It's fine. I mean, you know, these guys always overestimate things. I'm sure it'll be less time than that.
Okay, well, you know, don't rush. Make sure that you're safe.
Oh, I will. Always do. Listen, I'm sorry. I gotta go. Jameson's calling me over.
Okay.
Why doesn't he just tell her the truth? It's like Nathan expected her to say,
"Oh, honey, I know your brother's in danger, but I have my Kegel exercises in the morning, and then I have to go juice right before we go to the protest. And it's already on the schedule, Nate. So I guess your brother's just gonna have to die. Namaste."
In summary, Neil Druckmann 1. Downgraded the melee, then introduced his character Nadine in a boss fight that restricted the player to melee. 2. Introduced illogical character flaws in the main character like lying for no reason. 3. Implicitly undermined family and relationship ties developed throughout the series, thus marginalizing a logical female lead for the sake of an illogical one. 4. Removed the element of wonder, essentially changing the genre for no reason, removing the fantasy from the adventure.
Is this what you want? Huh? Is this what you want?
Though there's nothing wrong in keeping conflict between humans in the game and just keep it like a battle of ideologies or politics, but I wouldn't say it was very well executed. Druckmann also made the final decision that Uncharted 4 would end the Uncharted series, at least as far as Nathan Drake goes, leaving all of Naughty Dog's resources available for anything he would like to do with The Last of Us 2. And what that is starting to become more and more obvious. One last point. The director of The Last of Us, Bruce Straley, was also let go leading up to the development of The Last of Us 2, leaving Druckmann as the only original player. In a sense, Druckmann is the main senior on the project, and everything he says goes. And in light of what I just said, you just need to keep that in the back of your mind the next time you're suspending your disbelief. So see you next time, where we explore The Last of Us in light of these patterns, and to celebrate the upcoming sequel, which I cannot wait to play. Though, we can already tell that it is laced with ideology. So we'll check that out. Have a good one.
Is this what you want? Huh? Is this what you want?